Namaste everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I've got an all levels class which is going to just be really slow but powerful. There's going to be some lovely stretches we're going to hold. So I'd probably call it a slight Vinyasa type class, a little bit of a fusion, creative. So I hope you guys enjoy it. There's going to be some serious hip opening poses in this class that maybe we haven't done together, especially if you're a little bit more beginner. Some of these hip openers are not at all suitable for beginners, so if you are a beginner I will give little variations for you to try out. And I do recommend a couple of props today. So I recommend you have either a yoga block or two, and a rolled up towel if you can. It can be a big towel, it can be a little hand towel, it doesn't really matter, but that's just going to help ease you into some of the hip openers that we'll do in the class today. So we're going to start off in a kneeling position, closing the eyes. If this is too uncomfortable, sit in another pose, no worries. You can always take your rolled up towel and place it between your bum and heels if you can't sit onto your heels. We're just going to take a moment to tune into the body here. Taking a moment to let go of the day, or perhaps the day is just beginning, so you're taking a moment to become one with the body and with the present moment, letting go of thought. During this class, I'll try to keep your breath in and out of the nostrils nice and deep and slow. And if you have any thoughts come to mind, then just be aware of them, but allow them to go. Bringing yourself back to your breath awareness and back to the sensations of the body. Taking 3 deep breaths here with the eyes closed. Taking your left arm over to the left side, reaching the right arm up and over your ear, taking a side body stretch. And then tilting the chest to the sky, taking 3 big circles with this arm. And then rotate in the opposite direction. Now swooping forwards, arching the spine, sucking that belly button back. Take it over to the other side for a side body stretch over to the left. Sorry, over to the right, but on the left side body. Finding those arm circles once again, just 3 in one direction. Follow the breath. Rotate in the opposite direction. And then swoop forwards, coming into a child's pose, resting the forehead on the floor, arms alongside the body. Just take a moment here, breathing deep. Roll yourself up into a seat and make your way to a tabletop position. Hands underneath shoulders, knees under hips. And we're just going to find a rocking motion forwards and back. Warming up through the wrists. Hug your belly button back. And then become still. Inhale, drop the belly, look up. Exhale, arch, chuck the chin and the tailbone, hug your belly button back. 3 more just like that. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, arch. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, arch. From this arch, come to a neutral tabletop, lifting the right arm to the sky, look up. And then thread it underneath the left for thread the needle. Your left hand can stay where it is or plant it onto your tailbone, or maybe you can take a grip of the inside thigh. Continue to twist, getting your chest to face to the left side of the room, or maybe all the way to the sky if you're very flexible. Try to keep your hips in line with your knees. So you may have to just scoot your bum slightly to the right. If you can, taking that top arm, bring it up and over your head, start to walk it towards the right side of the mat. Getting a different stretch, maybe through the armpit of the left arm. And then bring your hand back to the ground, push yourself up, right hand lifts to the sky, swapping sides. You may need to move your props out the way. We're going to inhale, left arm to the sky, look up. And then thread that arm underneath the right. The right hand can stay on the ground, maybe come to your tailbone. Maybe find a grip of the inside edge of the left thigh. Keep the breath deep. Maybe send the hips slightly to the left to keep them in line with the knees. If you can't breathe deeply, you've gone too far, and you can slightly ease off of the twist. If you can, taking that right arm up and over the head and start to walk the fingertips to the left side of the mat. Bring that right hand back down in front of you and push yourself up to your tabletop. Turn the fingertips to face your knees, thumbs on the outside edges of the hands, and just find some circles. So stretching out through the wrists a moment and down through the hands. You can take big circles or small circles. And then start to rotate in the opposite direction. Maybe sit back and then back into your tabletop. Walk your hands forward, send your hips into a plank, squeezing your glutes, hugging your belly button back. Hold it just for a breath. And then send it up and back to your downward facing dog. Feet hip distance, hands shoulder distance. Tuck your chin towards your chest, look between your legs. Slight internal rotation of the knees, but externally rotate your shoulder blades. So you're trying to get your shoulder blades to pull apart. Hug your belly button back. And let's take 3 deep breaths here together. Lift your right leg, look forwards and step that foot between your palms. Take your time getting there nice and slowly. Now lift your arms up above your head, or you can draw them to your heart center in our crescent lunge, our high lunge. Sink low into the front knee. Make sure you can still see the front toes. The front big toe. Squeezing this left glute, keeping this left leg nice and straight and strong. Breathe into the pose for 3 breaths. Using balance, step forwards, keep that left leg lifted and very slowly hug it towards your chest, squeezing that right glute, holding that leg there. If you possibly can, straighten it and just take a couple of breaths. Now crossing that left leg on top of the right, maybe once or twice in your eagle legs. Taking eagle arms, right arm on top of the left once or twice. Draw the shoulder blades down and pull the shoulder blades apart. You'll feel a beautiful stretch at the back of the arms. Release the arms first, nice and slow. Everything's about slow movements today. And then release the legs. Squeeze that knee up high. And start to rotate forwards very slowly. Look at something on the ground that's not moving. Become an arrow in your warrior 3. Extend your arms alongside your body, look down. Squeeze this left glute and then slowly draw that foot behind you and straighten the front leg. You may need your props here. We want to keep our hips squared, facing forwards. And we're coming into our triangle pose. If you need your blocks, take them either side of the front foot and keep your body parallel to the mat, hugging your belly button back. This may be enough of a hamstring stretch for you. You can always take the toes off the ground and reach them up to the sky, engaging the foot. If you have more flexibility, then bring your hands down to the ground We're going to breathe into this pose for 5 deep breaths. So be where you are. If you would like to fold over the leg, you can. But just breathe nice and deep. 5 deep breaths, hips stay parallel. Hug the belly button back. Taking your fingertips a little more forward, bend through the front knee, plant your hands down on the mat, nice and firm. Stepping this right leg behind you if you can. Keep it lifted in a one-legged plank and hold it just for a breath. Then lower it down. You can take a full chaturanga or draw your knees to the ground slowly. Exhale, keep the elbows close to the body as you bring your chest to the floor. Inhale, lift for a baby or full cobra. And then slowly wave down. Sending it up and back to your downward facing dog. Keep the breath deep. Tuck the chin, look between the legs. Lift the left leg off the floor, look forwards. Bend the knee towards your chest and very slowly wave forward to a plank, keeping the leg lifted. Step between the palms. As slowly as you can, come on up, keeping the legs nice and strong. Hands at the heart center once again or lifted. Back knee stays nice and straight if that's possible. Bending into the front knee. Taking 3 deep breaths here. Hug your shoulder blades back and down. Squeezing that right glute, keeping you nice and stable. And then very, very slowly start to come on forwards. Take your time. Try to stay balanced on the left leg. Hugging the right knee up towards your chest. Don't worry if you fall out. Squeeze this left glute. And if you possibly can, extend the right leg. 2 breaths. And then cross the right leg once, maybe twice, over the left. Taking your time here. We're going to cross the left arm on top of the right once or twice. Squeeze the shoulder blades, pull the shoulder blades apart, but draw your elbows towards the floor. Getting that stretch behind the shoulders. Slowly release the arms first, nice and slow. Releasing this right leg, take it up towards your chest, and then send this right leg behind you. Look to the floor, go move slowly into your warrior 3. Hands at heart center in prayer or alongside the body. And then slowly stepping that right foot behind you. Straighten the front leg. Grab your prop if you need it. Send your left toes to the sky and start to fold slowly over the front foot. Don't push yourself, excuse me. If you need your block, please do use it, and if you need to slightly bend the front leg, then go for it. The important thing is to keep your spine straight and to keep your hips parallel, so try to draw the left hip back and the right hip slightly forwards. Find your position, get as comfortable as you can, and we're going to take some deep breaths here. Hug your belly button back. Very slowly start to bend through the front knee and walk your hands a little more forward. Okay, as slowly as you can, lifting that left foot off the ground into your one-legged plank. Keep the foot lifted for a breath. And then draw it down. Draw the knees to the floor. And exhale, bend the elbows. Draw the stomach to the floor. Open the feet wider than your mat. Open your fingertips beyond the mat but in line with your elbows. And we're going to inhale. Lift the chest if you can to full cobra, if not just as high as you can get it. And then exhale down, waving the spine. Take 3 just like that. Draw your feet together. Push yourself back towards your heels. Open your knees wider than your mat. Sit back onto your heels. If that's not possible, put your towel between your bum and your heels. Walk your hands forward and then come down for a wide-legged child's pose. Just breathe into this. Come back into the breath, to the body. Taking a moment to relax here. Send yourself back towards your hips, and we're going to send our hips up to the sky for downward facing dog. Feet hip distance, hands around shoulder distance. Take a deep breath here. Lift the right leg, look forwards, draw that right knee to your right elbow into a plank, hold it just for a second, and then turn the body to take that knee to the left elbow back to the right, and then draw that knee behind the right palm. And try to get those left toes close-ish to the left palm. And you're going to just wiggle your back toes down behind you. We're coming into our pigeon pose. So if this is not possible to come all the way down, having your hips in line, so both your hip bones facing forwards, then place a block underneath your right sit bone. And that will help you come into this pose a little better. Now, the closer the heel is to the left hip, the less powerful this hip opener will be. So just be where you are. You don't need to get that heel to be in line with the knee. In fact, I've never managed it. So don't worry, be where you are. You can stay up on your fingertips, just pressing your chest forwards, giving yourself a little back bend here. Perhaps this is where you just want to sit and this feels good. Then just feel into that pose. Allow your body to draw towards the floor. If you're more intermediate, we're going to try something a little different. You're going to hold yourself up without using your hands. If you're not intermediate, don't try this, just stay where you are. If you are, we're going to do Gomukhasana hands behind us. So we're going to take the right hand behind and the left hand up and over the head. We're going to see if we can take a grip of those right fingertips. So we've got Gomukhasana hands if you're intermediate. If you're not, please just stay in your pigeon pose. If you're also more intermediate, you can play around with your hamstring strength and maybe just taking that left foot off the ground, drawing it up to the sky, sitting in this pose. Whichever variation you're in, just breathe deep. If you're more intermediate, release those toes down, release the arms, and maybe those that can come down to the forearms, just hanging a little lower over that front shin. You can always place a block and rest your head onto your block. If you'd like to, you can always bring the full head all the way to the ground. But wherever you are, we're going to just take a few more breaths in this lovely hip opener. Wherever you are, slowly come up. We're going to take our weight over towards the right hip bone. So slowly roll onto the right, releasing this left leg, and draw that left leg in front of you. We're now going to do a very intense hip opener, but I'll give you a couple of variations so you don't have to go the full hog. We're going to be doing firelog pose. So this is a really tough pose. It's not one I've managed to do very well myself, and I've done yoga for years. It depends on how open your hips are. So we're going to have to get ourselves in position. If you're going to do full firelog, I'm going to tell you how to get there, and then I'll give you some variations if it's not possible for your body. So keeping your leg in a 90-degree angle, so your heel of the right foot is on the ground and it's in line with your right knee, and your knee is slightly further out from the hip, so it's not in line with the hip. And then you're going to place this left leg on top of the right. So you want to try and place the left heel onto the right knee. So you're stacking them like fire logs, probably where it gets its name. And then use your rolled up towel, place it underneath this left knee. Get yourself comfortable, sit up tall. And there may be a big gap between the shin bones, and that's okay. Just make sure that your feet are engaged, so your toes are facing forwards. So you're engaging through the feet to protect the knees. Sit up tall and you'll feel quite an intense stretch all the way through into the hips. Now this is not possible for everyone. Some people would say this is going to break me, and that's okay. This is about as far as I can go, and I've been practicing for years, so it still gives me a wonderful stretch. So if you're here, just sit here and breathe. Feel the intensity as long as there's no pain. If you want a different variation, then extend this left leg nice and straight. Take the right foot on top of the left thigh, don't put it on the knee. And again, engage the feet. So both the right foot is engaged, the toes are facing forwards, your knee is lifted off the ground. Place either a block or your towel underneath that knee, and you can just sit up straight. Maybe place your hand onto the knee to try and open up that right hip a little bit. If you want to, you can lean a little more forward. Maybe you can grab the left toes and you can open up this right hip just like this. So this is the other variation. You can sit up tall or lean forwards. So be where you are today and be where you want to be. Okay, if you're not there already, make your way into either variation. Sitting up tall through the spine. We're going to take 3 deep breaths together. Taking one more deep breath. Okay, remove your prop, release this left leg if it's on top of the right, extend it out to the side. Keep your right foot and draw it towards your sit bones. Sit up nice and tall, and you'll start to just feel that stretch through the inside edge of this left leg. So you can just continue sitting up tall just like this. You don't need to go any further. Perhaps you need to bend this left leg and place something under the knee. That's fine, you can do that too. If you'd like to, you can start to come forwards onto your forearms. So we're in like a half wide-legged forward fold. So you can come on forwards, maybe place your block in front of you and just rest your head onto your block. So we're just going to take some lovely deep breaths wherever you are in this pose. And then slowly come up off your prop, place it to the side, and we're going to make our way back into our pigeon pose on the right side. So just swivel your hips forward, lift your right knee up off the ground. Place it back behind your right your right palm. Your back leg, keep it lifted up onto your toes. So you're almost in a bit of a pigeon position here, and we're going to step back into a plank. Finding a little rock in your plank, forwards and back. Tuck your tailbone, squeeze your glutes, and then send your hips to the sky for your downward facing dog. Taking 3 breaths here, or you can take a child's pose if you need to. Okay, everybody meet in down dog. Lift your left leg, look forwards, draw the left knee to the left elbow, hold it just for a second, twist and take it to the right elbow, back to the left, and slowly draw it down to the ground behind the left palm. Sending that foot, the right foot behind you, further back until you're sitting in your pigeon pose. Remember, if you're very inflexible, place a block underneath this left bum, this left bum cheek. That will help you. Also remember, the closer the left heel is towards the right hip bone, the easier the pose will be. So you can stay up on your fingertips just like this, breathing into this delicious hip opener, but it's also a really good psoas muscle stretch, which is the muscle just above the thigh towards the hip bone. You'll feel it into the hip on the right side. So you're kind of hitting 2 birds with 1 stone here. Just breathe here. If this is where you are, great, breathe. If you're more intermediate, we're going to take our cow face pose or gomukhasana arms. So releasing the hands, taking the left arm behind the back this time and the right arm up and over. Perhaps you can take a grip of the left fingertips. You can go a step further only if you're intermediate and start to draw those toes to the sky. Squeezing that right glute, holding it there in position. Breathing into the pose, everybody, wherever you are. Don't follow any thoughts. Be aware of them, then let them go. Release your gomukhasana arms and that foot down nice and slowly. If you're up on the fingertips, then maybe you'd like to try coming forwards only if it's possible and you don't feel pain. Coming forwards onto the forearms and resting your head onto a block perhaps. Maybe taking the head all the way to the ground. Sinking heavy, as if you're melting into the floor. Keeping those hips in line with each other. Try not to allow that right hip to be lifted. Point it down towards the ground. Breathing deep here. Wherever you are, slowly, slowly make your way back up. Remove your prop to the side. We're going to start to send our weight over towards this left hip. So slowly rolling and bringing that right leg in front of you. So once again, we're going to come into either the firelog pose. I'll face you so you can see the firelog or the variation. So if you know firelog, get into that position. But if you want the variation, extend the right leg this time. Place the left leg on top, the ankle bone, around the ankle bone or the shin, just above the knee. You can place something under that knee, maybe just sitting up tall, perhaps leaning forward and grabbing these right toes. So if any of these variations work for you, then great, go ahead. Otherwise, stack the heels, this right foot on top of the left. I might have shown you the wrong side in the variation, but just make sure you do the opposite side, whichever side you did before. Sorry guys, that was bad cueing. So sit up nice and tall, whichever position you're in. If you need to, you can always, if it's possible, you can lean forwards. I'm just going to take some nice deep breaths here. Okay, remove your prop, releasing that right foot from the left, extend it out to the side, drawing that the left foot towards your body. You can just stay here, sit up nice and tall, placing the fingertips in front of you or maybe onto your block. Make sure that the right toes are facing up towards the sky. Okay. And if you need to bend the knee, feel free and place a block or something underneath that knee. That's no problem. If it's possible, you can always come down onto your forearms or all the way down to the ground. Just taking a lovely half straddle stretch here. And just breathing deep into this pose. Okay, slowly come up, move your prop to the side, and we're going to start to make our way back into that pigeon pose. So swinging this the right leg, back behind you. Keep up on the toes, face your chest forwards, plant your hands firmly, shoulder distance, and lift up, stepping back into a plank position. Maybe finding a rock, tucking the tailbone and squeezing the glutes. And then send your hips back to the sky, downward facing dog. Taking a couple of deep breaths in your down dog. Now walk or jump or step between the hands. Inhale, half lift, look forwards. Sending your tailbone all the way to the floor. Keeping your feet hip distance here. Knees up to the sky. And just roll all the way down onto your back. From here, we're just going to take a couple of reclined twists. So wrap your legs once or twice. Right leg on top. Open your arms out into a T. Send your hips to the right and allow your knees to drop to the left. Take your gaze to the right, so you're in a beautiful twist. Just breathe deep here in this pose, releasing the spine. Also giving a slight opposite stretch to those hips. Keep your breath deep. And stay in the present moment. Taking the gaze back to the sky, slowly raising the knees up, untwist the legs, and then twist the opposite foot on top, the left leg on top of the right. You can go once or twice, send the hips slightly to the left, then dropping the knees to the right. Taking your gaze to the left in your twist. Continuing to breathe deep and enjoying this beautiful release. Taking your gaze back to the sky, knees back to center. Uncross the legs and hug your knees towards your armpits. We're going to come into our final resting pose, Shavasana, extending through the left leg and then the right. Feet a little wider than hip distance. Tuck your shoulder blades under you. And hands a few inches away from the body, palms facing the sky. Look to the sky and close your eyes. Bringing the breath back to its natural rhythm. I'm just going to talk you through a body scan to help you completely relax into our final pose. And to help you let go of thought and keep coming back to the body. So start to relax the crown of the head. Imagine all those muscles releasing. And then that gentle relaxation comes down through the forehead. Releasing all the muscles between the eyebrows, relaxing those eyebrows. Imagine that relaxation swirling around the eyes. Just releasing the eyes, relaxing them. And as you feel them relax, you may feel your cheeks starting to soften and become heavier, with that sensation moving down into your jaw. Perhaps you were clenching your jaw and now it's parting and relaxing. Perhaps even a slight part of the lips. Taking that all the way down through the back of the neck and to the shoulders. Feeling those shoulders release and become heavier into the ground. With that wave of relaxed energy coming down through the arms to the elbows. Down through the forearms to the insides of the hands and up through each fingertip. Noticing that natural relaxed curve of each finger. And then that wave of relaxation comes back up through the arms to the shoulders, relaxing them further. Down through the chest, noticing the rise and fall as you inhale. And as you exhale and release. Down to what feels like an empty pit of your belly. Feel that lower back just release down a little more. Waving through the hips as if the hips are relaxing and parting, making more space. And then down through the thighs. They become heavier. All the way down to the knees, into your shins and your calves, through to your ankles. Feel your heels touching the ground, making contact, moving that relaxation through the base of the feet all the way to the toes. Now become aware of the body as one whole unit, becoming aware of all the points of contact and all the points of space. Allowing this moment to take you into the realm of being instead of doing. Become aware of the wonderful feeling of being, of letting go, of being present. Taking just one moment of silence together. Watch your thoughts like a cloud and allow them to pass. You can stay here as long as you like, or end your class with me by wiggling the fingertips and the toes, and raising the hands and rotating the wrists in one direction as well as the ankles, and then in the opposite direction. Inhale, reach and stretch your arms up above your head. And slowly rolling onto your side body. Just taking a moment on your side body here before you sit up and with the eyes closed. Gently push yourself up with the eyes closed in a seated position of your choice. Sit up tall, roll shoulders back and down. Drop your head to the left and slowly start to roll the neck from shoulder to shoulder. Lift your head to center. Inhale, raise your hands to touch above the head. With the eyes closed, raise the face to the sky. Draw the hands to your heart center, bow your head. Thank yourself for showing up and for doing the most incredible practice for your body, for your mind, for your soul. Namaste. You can open your eyes. Thank you for joining me, guys. I really, really appreciate you joining me. It means so much and it makes everything that I do so worth it. I would love to hear in the comments what you thought of this class, and just tell me a little bit about yourself, where you live. Do you have a family? I'd love to know that too. I have a little boy, a 2.5-year-old, so flows like this where I can do a little bit of power as well as some beautiful stretches are so important for the way I feel in my body at the moment, being a mum to a toddler. Perhaps you sit at a desk and this is a great combination of energy, a bit of yin, a bit of yang. So yeah, I hope this has been a very beneficial class for you. Until next time, everybody, have a lovely day ahead. Namaste.